What's up, guys? Welcome to the
just
You
went down
versus
to
You
one battery.
podcast. That shit just turned off. Sorry, guys. All right. The one thing that we need to film the podcast is the one thing that Lucas forgot to get batteries for. But
We could just use the camera mic.
yeah, right.
I'll show you what it sounds
so
like.
on this episode of Has Lucas seen this movie that everybody else has seen because we're all normal people?
It's a new segment.
Lucas, have you seen The Godfather?
No.
The Godfather 2.
Yeah, I've seen that one.
No, you
I
haven't. The Godfather 3.
Nope.
Casino?
Nope.
Bro. Oh my God. Well, on the bright side, happy birthday to Luke. He's finally 19 years old.
That's why we got alcohol.
No, he's 21. So for today's episode, do you think we have time to do your episode? The battery at 1? That will make it short.
I feel like we should probably do the risk one first.
The risk one?
Yeah. Isn't that the fire one you were talking about? Because it's
Lucas
the
wants
longest.
to drop some bars. All right. Well, since you're 21, what is we're gonna talk about to kind of transition to what we're gonna talk about. You're 21. Did you have any epiphanies when you were sober and not off the propa?
Wait, why do you say that like I'm an alcoholic?
You know that one time throughout the day when you were sober. Yeah, man. What did you learn? What do you think the biggest lesson you learned from when you were young
first
to being
21 years?
From a guy that
Shit.
all of his friends were in high school. You left high school because you knew it wasn't for you. You left high school so you could pursue real estate early, and you recently just chose a different venture instead of real estate. Got into stocks. You know.
Yeah.
And it's not the average. It's not the average young journey.
Everyone doesn't leave high school early?
No.
Oh. The biggest thing that I've learned, honestly, would probably be not to like trust others on what to do with your life, even though you know what you want to do.
Yeah.
Because I mean, if I'm being honest, I would have left high school even earlier, if I wasn't like had everyone breathing down my neck. No, you gotta go. You gotta at least finish. I would have dropped out at like 4 years old.
Wow.
No, I would. I mean, I was a good student in school until like 3rd grade, and then I guess that's when I started thinking for myself and started questioning everything. Like, why do I got to learn this? Why do I got to do this? No matter what my grades are, you're gonna push me on to the next grade. So what do I got to do anything for?
So when you did leave in high school, did you already know you wanted to be in real estate?
I knew I wanted to do something within entrepreneurship since like the 7th grade. It wasn't real estate specifically until like I would say like my sophomore year. But to answer your question, yeah, I did. By the time I left, I was like, I want to be a real estate agent.
Yeah. So that's what your lesson would be. Don't listen to everybody's advice and
Just follow your gut.
Trust your intuition.
Because I've always felt like I'm pretty self-aware in what I like and what I want.
Yeah.
And I also kind of feel like I wasted a little bit of time going to school. I know that kind of sounds bad to say, but because even in high school,
I'm sure a lot of people could agree with that.
even in high school, like when I was there in class, I was like sleeping. So it's like I might as well just be at home if I'm going to do anything. The only thing I did at school was talk to people in passing periods and lunch and play basketball.
Yeah. We play basketball a lot.
Yeah.
I just heard an amazing quote by I quote David Meltzer a lot. But this one's some heat. He says, whenever you take advice, you need to take it like you're picking up sand with your hand. Bars. When you pick up sand with your hand, most of the sand falls out of your hand, and when your hand is elevated above the sand, there's only a few little grains left on your hand. And that should represent the advice that people give to you, because not everybody has these different backgrounds, everybody has these different opinions and different experiences that, qualify them to give advice. And sometimes the things you're trying to achieve, the life that you've lived, the person that you are, because we're all wired completely differently. Sometimes that person's coming from a loving place. Sometimes they're not. Most of the time, if they're in a position where they're giving you advice, a lot of them are our loved ones. And just because they're our loved ones and it is coming from a loving place, sometimes that shouldn't be the right, that shouldn't be, you shouldn't take that as exactly what you should do. Like, you shouldn't take that word.
It's gospel.
Yeah, you shouldn't take that word as gospel. Exactly. So, like, for example, like you, if your family was telling you, oh no, you should stay in school, blah blah blah, you didn't do this, even though you ended up saying, yeah, fuck that. You didn't. You
turned 18 and said, y'all can't control me.
Yeah, you didn't follow that. So so when you pick up a huge handful of sand, which is like what we get in our entire lives, and as you elevate your hand above the sand, like 98% of that sand ends up falling back to where it came from, and only a few pieces are left on your hand, and that should be, those golden pieces of advice that you should keep from people that are in the places that you want to go, the same backgrounds, with the same kind of personality type. I think the biggest thing for me when I take advice from somebody, I take different pieces of advice from different people for different parts of my life. Like, I don't listen to David Meltzer for fitness advice.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
You know what I mean? I don't, and
I don't take business advice from these powerlifters that I follow.
Like, and I don't take relationship advice from like Andy Frisella, who doesn't like want kids. You know what I mean?
He doesn't have any kids?
No, and he doesn't like want kids.
I don't know why. I thought he had some for some reason.
Maybe because we want to be his kids. No, I'm just kidding.
Because I look like him, so he should adopt me.
Maybe because you look like him. I thought you looked like The Rock, though.
I look like both of them.
Oh, all right.
Because they look similar.
Yeah, they do look similar. Like, for example, advice that I would take from my mom. My mom gives really great relationship advice. She's been with my dad for a very long time. That's a very trustworthy source to get relationship advice from. And she knows me personally very well. But if I were to ask her, like business advice or what should I do in this part of this negotiation, I probably would not be getting great advice from that person. So we're kind of straying away talking about advice, but what we really wanted to get into today
is taking risks.
So, Lucas, when you left high school, obviously you left all of your friends that were, and your most important friend, this kid named Bailey.
I don't think I was.
Anyway, I'll keep talking. I'll keep talking. When you left high school, anybody, I'm sure the teachers that saw you leave, I'm sure your friends that saw you leave, I'm sure maybe even your family that saw you leave, and especially, your family. I know your sister continued school in college. She's
getting
still,
her master's right now.
Yes, your older sister is still in school, so it's such a different. And I had something similar. It's such a different a decision that you made. I'm sure everybody saw you as taking like this massive risk and doing something risky. What did you see it as?
Being true to myself.
Why?
Because I knew no matter how far into education I got into, like if I got a fucking PhD, what I wanted to do wasn't going to have anything to do with whatever that PhD was. Because if I did decide to go to college, I would have wanted to like master in like business.
Yeah.
But a lot of entrepreneurs talk about how even in those business classes, they teach you how to work in a business, not how to like run your own and grow a company. And I knew that like even that wasn't really going to help me, because I forgot who said it, but they said like 1 year of actually doing stuff in entrepreneurship will give you a better education on business than a 4-year degree.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
And I also didn't fuck with the debt that came with it for a piece of paper, you know what I mean?
Oh, yeah, that's crazy. Like, I think the average is like 20,000.
Yeah. To get a job that you're going to be living paycheck to paycheck from.
Oh, yeah.
I think my sister has about 20,000 in debt right now.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Good job, Bailey. My bad, player.
They can't hear that because they're sensitive, but my grandpa just sneezed from the other room super loud.
Yeah, I think he was like, we're on the 44th floor. What do you think he's on, like 45th?
He's on the penthouse right now. I put him up.
The floor is so thin.
Oh, no, this is the penthouse.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, bro, he's not going to.
He's in the penthouse of our penthouse.
Oh, yeah. Your mom's in the penthouse on the penthouse on the penthouse. Or is that my mom?
Like she's on the penthouse, and then it's like we're at the penthouse, then it's my grandpa who's in the penthouse for the penthouse.
Yeah.
And then it's like the rooftop, and then there's like just
Our
another
moms,
penthouse
our
on
moms
top
are
of the
kicking it
rooftop
on the rooftop. Oh,
where there's
okay.
stilts and they're just
Yeah.
balancing up there.
Yeah.
Because
They
Elon
do
Musk
have
made this
really good
building, so
balance.
it's like
Uh-huh. Yeah,
electromagnetic buildings.
I don't know what he was thinking when he built it. Sometimes he
Yeah.
builds stuff that doesn't really make sense. So you didn't really see it as a risk.
No.
I'm sure a lot of people did.
But maybe it's also because it's something that well, not necessarily leaving school early, but knowing that I wasn't going to go to college from such a young age.
Mhm.
So
I'm sure you felt. I mean, did you feel any like FOMO, like fear of missing out when you did? At all?
not really, because I had already gone to prom.
Uh-huh.
And
Oh yeah.
and I was never really big on school dances. Prom was the only one I ever went to.
Yeah.
The only thing I really kind of guess I would have like had missed out is like the senior activities, like the senior
Mhm.
luau,
Yeah.
just stuff like that. But
Mhm.
every day was senior ditch day for
So-
me my senior year.
So yeah, so that's like the social life. I think that's natural. Even like when you graduate high school, there's always like that missing of the social life.
Yeah.
But I mean, like the missing of like the actual education. Even though you had the intuition and you knew your education wasn't gonna come from school, you didn't feel at all like, oh, maybe I should go back, or maybe I'm missing out on that education.
No, because when I would come home, I would educate myself on topics I was actually
Yeah.
interested in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I was still getting an education, just in a different way.
Yeah, so that was different for me because I actually enjoyed the education, the social part of school. Of course, I was very social in high school and all of school. I actually enjoyed the education part in class and was good at it and got really good grades. And so when I left, and my older brother also finished school, I forgot what degree that he has. Probably like the earliest one.
Bachelor's?
I was gonna say, I think he has his bachelor's in psychology.
'Cause he's a player. He's a bachelor.
He's a bachelor's boy. And I was also, and my family did a lot to help me out to keep me in school because they know that I was so focused on my work and that I was always getting good grades and keeping up with school. My Nina would let me, we lived in East LA and I went to school in Whittier. So my Nina would let me, that family would let me stay in their house in Whittier. Even when they moved out, like they let me stay in the back house that they rented out. They rented out the front house and they would let me stay in the back house just so I could keep going to school, keep up my good grades. My mom made decisions in her life that would make it easier for me to go to college and pay less. So she worked for a college that would allow her kids to go to that college for free. And it was a very well-known and pretty upscale college in Los Angeles.
USC?
Yeah, one of those two.
USC?
Yeah, it was USC. I was
I
refraining
not
from
supposed to
saying
say
it
that
before.
or what?
I don't know.
Sorry, I kind of got distracted because we're talking about college right now, and the Discord group chat that I'm in for my stocks is all talking about college too.
Think they're listening?
Yeah, they're on our live stream. If you guys want to enter our live stream, go for it.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding.
We should live stream though.
My computer's not powerful enough for that. The quality would be ass.
So I was actually really good. So when I didn't really, so after I kept up, I started getting into entrepreneurship like in the middle of high school. I still kept up with my grades because I enjoyed it and I was actually good at it. And even though a lot of my friends that were into the same things told me you're wasting your time, I said, well, that would just give me that edge having that extra education. And not only my friends, I mean, other people's content that I would consume also said, college is a waste of your time. And so after high school, I did go to college, and that's when I touched on this in the first episode. I also found a mentor that I could work for and learn sales and business and marketing. And it wasn't until then when I started getting actual experience and what one could say actual education is when I felt like the real education was in the minefield, in the jungle, actually putting in the work. And the part that was wasting my time, the part that was the real risk, was staying in school and following everybody else's advice. So what we talked about in the beginning, that ties 100% with what we're talking about, taking the risks that you probably want to take. And if you can't think of anything that you would want to do, this episode's probably not for you.
So get the fuck out of here. Just kidding.
No, we're not. And so I ended up making that decision that I wanted to, just go full time. Well, I wasn't full time because I also had another job that would keep me afloat while I was working for my mentor for free to learn sales. Um, and so I did end up leaving school after like one semester. And that was like the only time ever where, and they were like super easy classes. I've taken college classes in high school. So when I actually got to college, I just like continued the college classes I was already taking the year before. And so that was the first time ever that my grades were like slipping, and it made me feel like bad about myself because I already had a self identity of keeping up with my grades, staying on top of my stuff. Oh, Bailey's in school. Bailey's getting good grades. He's doing his homework. He's doing all this stuff. And now he wasn't doing all that stuff. His grades are falling. He's doing something completely different. I had to kind of like completely recreate myself. And especially when I presented this idea to my parents that that's what I wanted to do, that was like so out of the norm for them and risky for them, because in their eyes and our family's eyes, they made so many decisions for me to stay in school, for me to continue my education, continue on the road that I was killing it at the time, to do something that that in their eyes was super risky, and in their eyes only like a super small percentage of people make it, and super small percentage of people are worthy or do this. And from someone looking at your parents' perspective or anybody else that would want to give you advice to go the other route, the safe route, you could, I mean, I think it wouldn't take not even a weak mindset, but just like it would be average to believe that they don't believe in you, or it's like get that feeling. But you have to remember that they're coming from a place of love, and they're just like genuinely worried. I don't know if you got that.
Of course, because I left school earlier than you, so
Yeah.
imagine how your parents would have reacted if you
Oh,
left
dude, I
school
wouldn't even have
early.
a choice at that point.
Yeah, I didn't have a choice. Well, I technically didn't have a choice to stay to Pioneer because I had to. And they're like, you're out of here, kid.
Yeah.
But my mom cried when she found out that I was leaving.
Really?
Yeah, she was like in my counselor's office crying. And I mean, it's understandable why she was doing it. She, like when our parents were growing up, they didn't have social media to expose them to a world of entrepreneurship and ways to make money outside of going to work and working.
Yeah.
So she was just, I mean, everyone wants their kid to be successful, and that's the way she knew how to be successful. So she was worried.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a perfect example of you can't look at everybody. Everybody's not looking through the same window, right? Everybody's car has traveled different roads, and everybody's car is looking at the same mountain from a completely different angle, because we've taken different routes, and we have different shades on our window, so we see the mountain in different ways. But yeah, after, the reason why I decided to leave was because I didn't see it as a risk anymore. I saw that following everybody else's advice was the real risk for me. So now where you're at now, do you see, so like now you've already made the decision, you're going full time. We both have part-time jobs on the side to keep us afloat,
Sadly.
which is reality. I mean, you wouldn't want to just go 100% into something that isn't making you any money. You're literally, yes, you want to put your back against the wall, but you don't want to put your back against the wall and
You gotta
also
be responsible too.
yeah, exactly, and also put a weapon in front of yourself, purposefully. So now that you're in this situation, what risks do you see, and how do you feel about them?
The risk that I do see, I mean, I don't know. I don't really want to say, like, obviously being in business is risky because there's that chance of being successful, but
Yeah.
I mean, of not being successful, but I don't even
Huge
like
chance.
to
Yeah.
put that like as a thought, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Because I'm a believer that if you work hard enough for something, you're going to achieve it. So whether it's to the level you expected it to or not, you will see some success in like whatever it is you're doing, you know? Because if like with this podcast, we keep doing it for the next 10 years, posting consistently, like it's going to gain traction. That's just kind of like,
it's the formula.
yeah. It's literally the formula. Like you put out content, the more you put out, the more chances you have to reach people.
Yep.
And just like,
Compounds.
and also like within the stock market, it's all like knowledge based, you know, like if you have the knowledge and you can make really good predictions, then you could make it. And it's not like you're selling a product that people might not like. Like literally everything's up to you. And I don't know, I just might have a big ego, but I've always been like super confident in myself and my abilities, no matter what it was. So in terms of risk, I know there's that risk for what I'm doing now to lose all of my money, but I also know that like I'm used to having nothing. So it's not like I got nothing to lose. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I could either do this and become super successful, or do this and not be successful and be exactly where I'm at now. So I guess the only risk is being stagnant. Was that bars or what?
That was bars.
That was fucking bars.
And so how would you feel years from now and you're stagnant? Why is that a risk for you? What about that is a risk for you? And how do you feel about like that? Does that make you scared? Does that make you angry? Does that motivate you?
It motivates me.
Yeah.
Like it would motivate me to go harder. And the reason I say being stagnant is a risk is because ever since I heard this quote from Ryan Serhant, what, did it die on us?
No. I'm just making sure it's not blinking. Just keep going.
So I heard this quote from Ryan Serhant, and he talks about when you die and you go to heaven, and it might not be true, but I like to think of it like this. I've told you before, when you die and go to heaven, or you die and whatever you believe in happens to you, like you're going to be confronted with yourself, the version of yourself that reached its fullest potential. So do you either want to get there and meet that person and be someone else, or do you want to be the same person? So for me, it's always trying to reach my fullest potential in like whatever it is that I do. And even like in terms of fitness, like I want to get to my best potential physically and athletically. And that's why like I used to train a lot on my vertical, because that's what I was like super interested in. Like every basketball player grows up wanting to dunk. And even my sister asked me like, why do you train your vertical so much? Like, why is that so important to you? I was like, fool, you wouldn't get it.
You wouldn't get it.
No, but like
from the Joker.
So basically what I'm saying is I want to be the same person as the version of myself that I meet when I die, that's reached his full potential in everything. Like his full potential in his relationships, in his career, in his physique. Like,
I think I mentioned that in the first episode that we ended up deleting. But I mentioned that that was from Ed Milet. I wonder if that's where Ryan got it from.
Maybe.
Ed Milet says that when you die, you meet the person that God made you to be, and heaven would be looking at that man and realizing that you're the exact same person. Like, I am you. And hell would be looking at that person and saying, wow, I wasted so much time and I'm not even close to this person. We don't even recognize each other. We don't even get along with each other or anything like that. And I agree with that 100%. You said Ryan Serhant said that?
Yeah. I specifically remember it. Like, I could literally have the picture of him, the dumbass blue suit, pink tie he was wearing. He had a mustache at the time. Like, I don't know why I remember it so vividly, but because a lot of times I hear quotes and they're kind of like one ear out the other type thing, but that one stuck with me. Like,
yeah,
I was like, "Fool, that was bars, Ryan."
Yeah, and Brad Lee said something super interesting too. He said that because he likes to hear all these like very famous quotes and he likes to pick at them. Even if he does it for attention, I mean, sometimes he does like pick out like really, really smart stuff. For example, let me just throw one at you. Would you rather have, I think he says 5 million now, or would you rather learn how to make 5 million? Would you rather have the 5 million
just
now,
get it now,
or know how to make the 5 million?
Know how to make the 5 million.
He says that's dumb because let's say you lose 1 million, you would probably learn the lessons that you need to learn to make the 5 million. Or, I mean, if you have the 5 million, you could probably pay 2 million to learn how to make 10 million. That's just an example. But anyway, so he says, like, you never really reach your full potential. He's like, what the fuck is that? Like, your full potential is based on how long you stay alive and how long you kind of stay consistent.
Yeah.
So that's and again, that comes to the purpose of the show, which is you versus you. It's just a constant battle to try to get better in all these different aspects of your life that are important to you, and that make you better at who you are and the best version of yourself. And Brad's point was there is no best version of yourself, because as long as you're alive, you can always be getting better.
Yep.
And so instead of that being like something, I remember my ex in high school used to be like afraid of that idea. Like she would be like, um, she would get very sad at the fact that, you know, we're gonna die. Like, what the fuck is the point of this? And I remember thinking that night, we had
Wait,
like,
can I just say real quick, like the difference in mindsets that people have? Because some people say like, why would I work so hard if we're all gonna die? And other people like, dude,
100%.
we're gonna die. Like, I need to do as much as I
A
possibly
hundred
can.
percent, 100%. And again, it's all perspectives. And I believe that if you're gonna believe in anything, because literally the world is just your perception of what the world is.
Yeah.
Do you agree?
If you choose to look at the world through a negative
So
lens, you'll see a bunch of negative shit.
if the world is 100% your perspective, then why not manipulate your perspective to live in a better world?
Mm-hmm.
Period. So,
Bars.
and then there's this TED talk of this guy that's like crippled, that he just recently passed away, that I used to listen to all the time. He says, only believe in empowering beliefs. Like, why would you keep anything else,
Mm-hmm.
right? Um, and so I remember, yeah. So I remember when she brought that up to me, and I remember that, and I didn't really have an answer for her. I just knew that like I didn't agree with it. And then I remember thinking about it that night, and I think about it a lot. It's a really good thing to ponder on your mortality. It's a very stoic thing to do, and it's something that all of the great philosophers have done. Um, and I was thinking, like, what's the point of it? I mean, we're all gonna die, and we don't even know what happens when we die. I mean, is there a purpose? Even on this planet, like after we die on this planet, like if we let let's say even if we do travel to different planets, like what is the point? You know, like is there a point? Like is everything pointless? Like should you just live?
Way too high.
Should you just live selfishly? And I remember coming to the conclusion that really there is no other purpose other than just getting better at things, because everything in nature functions that way. Everything. Everything in nature starts small, changes, goes through pain, goes through growing pains, and then comes out as something completely different. When you plant a seed into the ground, it comes out as a plant. And then it provides you with nourishment. It provides fruit that people can eat, and then people throw the seeds back into the ground, and then something else grows. Or even when our body dies, our body gets decomposed into the planet, and then it gets back into nature, and then nature uses it.
When people die, they like, I forgot how they do it, but they basically like die and get buried, but they have like plant seeds with them and they grow into trees or something like that.
Yeah, and even on like a very macro scale, that's like a very micro scale, looking at it like very reality based. On a macro scale, we're literally made out of are the ingredients to make us, like as organisms,
Mm-hmm.
are the same exact ingredients that stars are made out of,
Yeah.
that the cosmos are made out of. Everything is literally connected. So you could just as easily look at us and say, "Oh, we're just a small thing. We don't belong here." You could just as easily switch the window around and look at it as we are everything. We
Mm-hmm.
are a part of everything. You know, after I die, if I affect one person, that person is me. If that person carries my idea and lives a better life and affects these other people after their life, that is me. That was my effect. That was what I was able to do on this planet. Whether I'm here to see it or not, my body is not going to be here forever, but the parts that make me and the ideas and what I was able to do in this vessel can live beyond me. So when you look at that and you think, really, what is the risk? I mean, the only risk is to take that for granted and to not use your vessel for something that could have a positive impact, or to just prove that, you know, this person was here, this person went through some shit, and this person did something. You know what I mean?
It's all about leaving that legacy.
Yeah, that's what your legacy is. And I think so. For me, I realized that your mortality is not something that should be a reason why you shouldn't go all the way. That should be the reason why you should. Because I thought about it further, and if we did live forever and there was no way we could die, or, you know, if we did live forever and we did have everything, what would be the purpose of anything?
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we we can lose. And if there is any guarantee in life, it's that we're going to lose eventually. And it's that we're going to go through some shit and that's going to hurt and things are going to change. Their only guarantee is that things will change. With that being said, I think the only thing left here to do is to do your best to, when you die and when you're on your deathbed, you can say that I don't regret not taking that risk. I mean, I think the only risk is being on your deathbed and realizing I didn't use my life, I didn't use my vessel, I didn't use what God gave me to be me. Because literally, there will never, ever be anybody that looks like you, talks like you, sounds like you, acts like you. There will literally be a never you as far as we know now, that will ever live behind us, that will never live ahead of us, ever, for infinity. There will never be another you. And that there, I think, is the most powerful thing that we can contemplate when thinking about our morality. That how were you not put here for a purpose? You're here with all the exact ingredients of the universe, and the universe made only you. Not all these plants that look the same, not that huge body of water that's one. It made you and only you. Just like how now we only have our planet. It's only you and nothing else could ever replace you. And when you're on your deathbed, I think the only question you're going to have is, can I go to the next, whatever's ahead of this, peacefully, at peace with what I did in my life? And if the answer is no, I don't see, like you said, if the answer is no, I don't see any other thing more painful than that.
Dropping knowledge on them, bro.
Did I drop bars?
I forgot what I was going to say. Oh, I wanted to ask you, because you asked me if I saw any risk with leaving school early. Did you see any risk when you were leaving college?
Yeah, because my family had sacrificed so much for me to be in school, and I was actually good at school. At first, I thought that was going to be my edge. But I knew that I didn't want to be. I was in a social group where at school, my friends from high school, all of them were on the same thing, and none of them were going to the place I wanted to go. The only person that did was my mentor that I was working for at the time, and his journey was super similar to mine. He had a super similar family. He was only 2 years older than me, so he started at the same age that I was starting at that time. And that's the decision that he made. And that was the same decision that a lot of people in that same situation had made. And so he was an instrumental part in my journey, because he not only showed me that it was possible to do what I wanted to do at such a young age, he showed me that you can take this risk, and it is not only possible, but I mean, it's this close to you. Like, it's within your grasp. Like, he took my mind from looking at it as a risk to, dude, this is like reality. You just have to stay the course, pack on your scars, and get the fuck back up and just keep going. Like you said, it's a formula. I mean, if you just keep getting up and you just keep going, how are you going to fail? And if you do fail, I mean, let's take I was going to say, if you do fail, just get back up, and then you're not failing anymore. If someone asks you, oh, like, are you still doing this? And if you quit, like if you stop doing it, then you quit. But if you keep going after you keep losing and you're still playing, then you didn't really fail. And so I was thinking about it. What really makes you a failure? Like, what are people really afraid of? And the only things that I could think of is, the only things that make you a failure is when other people look at you and call you a failure. The things that when you win, you can actually actually look at that as fact. Like, oh, he won. Like the Lakers actually won this championship,
Mm-hmm.
right? But calling someone a failure, like in general, that only comes from opinions. And if you live independent of opinions of others, then you can never really fail unless you believe them and you go against that rule of not believing in ideas that empower yourself and believe that you're a failure. Then you are taking on the greatest risk of all, which is not even giving yourself the chance to believe in yourself to even attempt what you really want to go out there and chase. So so I did see it as a risk when I was with my parents, but when I was actually in the trenches, I didn't, because I knew that I had natural skill to actually be good at it. I just had to really focus on applying it and getting better at the actual skill, which was sales and talking to people over the phone, and tonality and stuff. Um, I knew that I could do it, and also I had a really good teacher, um, and I was also smart about it. Like I had a part-time place. I had a part-time job. I knew where I was living. I knew I was gonna be fed. Um, you don't have to. I mean, why just like jump off the roof and hope that there? I mean, there's like two different things you could do. You could jump off a big cliff and be like, come on, I'm gonna fly. I want to fly. I want to fly. I want to fly. Or just jump off the cliff with the fucking parachute. And if you don't fly, pop your parachute. Oh fuck, that didn't work. Let me go back up. Take another parachute, pop your parachute if you need the parachute, and then just go back up the cliff. And that's how you could keep trying. If you do the other way and you just jump off without a parachute and you land to the point where there's no coming back, now that's taking that's very situational. That's called you guys do this all the time. What is it? Mitigating risk. When you
Managing risk.
it's hedging risk. It's called hedging your bets. I mean, if you're gonna take a risk, not necessarily have a plan B, but make sure that you could go again. Make sure that you can try again.
Don't just risk everything and risk like dying, like you said, going
Exactly.
splat. Just managing your risk to a point where if you do fuck up and fail, you have enough to be able to start again.
Right.
Like you said with the parachute, that
Right.
like pulling that parachute is your version of managing your risk so that you don't just get one shot at it and you could keep going.
Yeah. Exactly. And there is another side of it. That's not an example to not go all the way. The other side of it is on this. Here's another one. Lucas, have you seen The Last Dance?
Yes.
Jesus, he hasn't seen it, guys. There's a part where Michael Jordan, I think he's coming back from an injury, and he injures a part of his ankle, and he asks the doctor if he could go back on the court, and the doctor gives him a percentage, and I think he's in the playoffs. The doctor says if you go out, there's I think he says there's like a 40% chance that if you do this way, you're not even gonna play in the finals this year if you make it that far.
And that made it personal for him.
And Michael Jordan says, and then it shows all the coaches, and the coaches are like, no, I wasn't gonna let him play. And then it shows the owner, and the owner's like, no, there's no way I was gonna let him go. And then it shows Michael Jordan, and he says, that means there's a 60% chance that we're gonna win.
60% chance I'm gonna be fine, bro.
Yeah, and I think it was even closer. I think it was like 50 or maybe a 40% chance that he would be fine, but he took that risk, and obviously he was fine. So again, he was able to take that risk because he made the decision. All of those other coaches, they were hedging their bet because for the coach, Michael Jordan was their lead player. For the owner, Michael Jordan was that one chess piece that brought them all those followers, all the crowd. For Michael Jordan, he chose to step into a belief that empowered him, that told him, now I really have to make this work because I'm taking this risk with the parachute, that I can win this.
Yeah.
Right. And so if anything, that gave him a chip on his shoulder to go even harder, to make sure even more that that his parachute was going to work. Or in another analogy, people say, oh, don't put all your eggs in one basket. he put all of his eggs in one basket, but he watched the fucking basket.
Yeah.
So like people say, oh, what are your thoughts on plan Bs? Since we're talking about risk and we're talking about jumping off with the parachute, but that doesn't mean having a plan B, right?
Yeah.
So what do you think about plan Bs? Not the pill, because
I know.
we're getting canceled. That was a joke, guys.
I feel like I'm strong. I've viewed plan Bs as you already got this conception in your mind that you're gonna fail, so you're already thinking of what to do next. And I think I kind of talked about that in the first episode we did that ended up getting deleted. Yeah, but to me, I view a plan B as you're already unconfident in what you're doing, so you basically have it in your mind already that you're gonna fail at this. So let me just have this on the side just in case, you know.
Yeah.
Like our part-time jobs aren't a plan B because. First of all, you're not gonna live off nothing in California for that.
So I don't know about your parents, but like when my sometimes
my parent?
sometimes my parents approach me and they're like, they're worried because it's taking time, and I'm like, yeah, that's the point. That means it's going the good.
Yeah.
That means it's going good. And so they're like, oh well, we just want to make sure you're taking. Worst case scenario, I have to go get a job. Right now I have the skills that would make anybody which I've gotten tons of offers for this anyway. I would make anybody jump to have me on their sales team or their acquisitions team or their real estate underwriting team because of the skills that I built. So on your journey, as you're getting better, you're also becoming more valuable person to the actual marketplace, which is even mitigating your risk even more because you're becoming more valuable. Worst case scenario, you need some extra money, or you need to partner with someone, whatever. You don't have the money to do that. You have the skill, which would make other people with money want to buy your time and want to use your skills.
Yep.
So then again, what the fuck is the risk? The risk is that you're worried about other people's thoughts about you, when in reality, that shit does not fucking matter.
Mm-hmm.
That shit don't matter. That could be a whole nother episode, but that's the truth. That's a huge reason why people don't take that step. They believe in other people's beliefs rather than stepping into something that would make them a better performer or a better athlete or a better entrepreneur or a better influencer, whatever. Like if Michael Jordan believed his coach and the owner and the doctor, he probably wouldn't have pushed himself even more to completely close out that game.
I watched The Last Dance.
No, you didn't. He's crazy. I wanted to ask you something. What did you just bring up? Oh yeah, about Plan Bs. Not the bills. Oh yeah. So about a Plan B. A lot of my friends both of our friends that are for example, one of my friends that I could think of in music, he mentioned to me the other day that I'm still doing this, so I have a plan B, and this usually comes from people that have not dove into personal development as much, or taken time to really develop themselves, or take a lot of time to learn in the field that they want to study or excel in. And I noticed that's a pattern. Usually people who have the most fear in something are usually the same people who don't put in the time, that don't put in the time to learn, that don't put in the time to execute. So how can they believe that they can actually do this if they're not even showing themselves? They don't even have that self-credibility or that confidence to actually believe that they can actually achieve this.
Yeah.
What do you think about the delusion that some people have? Because we have a bunch of these friends. Like remember that one friend that we went to a party one time. We never go to parties, guys. Actually, we don't. That was like that one. So you're gonna remember.
I don't think
you're gonna remember remember when we went to that party and I was like, hey, what you up to? And he was up to the same thing. And he's like, don't worry, bro. I'm still keeping that entrepreneur mindset.
Oh yeah.
So what do you think is the borderline between believing in yourself and being delusional? Super quick because that does touch on risk. Before we wrap it up,
the borderline being
like because would you say that he was taking a risk?
No,
but he believed that he was.
He did. I
Yeah,
thought
he said,
when he
don't worry, bro. I still have the entrepreneur mindset. Like I'm still gonna do something.
I thought when he said that it was kind of as a joke, because I don't know. I just thought it was a joke because obviously he said I'm not doing anything, but like what the fuck is an entrepreneur mindset gonna do if you're not doing anything?
Exactly.
So that, yeah, I would say is delusion if he was serious and thinking
So
he was
yeah,
taking
so
risks.
he was saying that because he follows the people, and in his mind he's convincing himself. He has convinced himself that he is an entrepreneur, or he is capable of doing these things without putting in the work behind him to back it. So because we have to talk about this before telling people to believe in themselves. He had his beliefs without any credibility to back it. So now he's okay with just having the belief and not executing and not seeing any results. And that is straight up delusion. So the silver lining and the right way to do it is to believe in yourself, but put execution behind it, right? Find someone that has done it, kind of reverse engineer the road that they took, and do the research enough so that you know that it's possible. You put you have skin in the game, so you kind of know, like me and Lucas brought up multiple times. In our industries, we know the formula. We know this many trades gets you this many blah blah, this many knowledge points, whatever. And for me, this many calls gets you this many leads, gets you this many offers, gets you this many contracts. So the only risk in our cases would be not having the proper beliefs that would hinder our decisions to not move us forward. And if we stayed on those beliefs, then looking at this long term, that would be the biggest risk of all. The biggest risk that you can have, especially at a young age, which is what Lucas said in the very beginning of this episode, would be to not go after it. And go after what? You tell me. Go after your intuition. What do you want? What do you believe in? And go at it full force. Do not let anybody affect your decisions, because then you would have that delusional belief that isn't great for you. Go after it 100% with your mind, body, your soul, and that execution, so that you believe it yourself. And at that point, there is no risk. Do you have any last thoughts? Or do your outro if you don't?
Oh, shit. I forgot about the outro. All right. Well, all right, guys. So we're going to wrap it up now. Make sure to...
What, player?
I don't know. I'm stumbling over my words. It's my first time doing the outro. So we're wrapping it up, guys. Make sure to go ahead and like, subscribe, share this with at least 5 friends. That's not part of the outro.
Oh, but I do want to mention, though, if you're listening to this, thank you so much. We got so much support on our opening. I mean, you guys are...
We hit over 100 views, which honestly, like 100 views in the grand scheme of things isn't crazy, but that's a lot, dude.
For the amount of followers that we have on Instagram, that is a lot. That's like
over half of what I have,
and that's 20% of my following. Which, I mean, and a lot of the people that follow us on our actual follow you versus you podcast on Instagram. On that page, a lot of them, they're not even people that I was like super close to. They're people that I would talk to, be nice to in school or in life or in general.
Same.
So, I mean, all of you guys who are supporting, thank you so much. I mean, it just feels amazing to know that you have these people behind you. And I hope that we're providing value to you. If you have any, suggestions or questions or comments,
any topics that you want us to talk about,
any topics that even you might be struggling in your own life, we would be more than happy to either talk about it. We only talk about things that we experience ourselves. So if we haven't experienced that, we will look out for help and bring a guest on who can help you. And we're continually learning ourselves. So we might even come back and have a different perspective on a topic or something like that. But I did just want to take a second and thank all of you guys. Eventually, we're going to start having incentives and giveaways for you guys who have been supporting us. But I just wanted to say thank you so much. Follow me on Instagram. I am Bailey Contreras. More content, and so you guys can know when we drop. Follow our podcast, Instagram, You versus You podcast. And my TikTok, I am Bailey Contreras. I post like lifestyle, just funny stuff, and also a lot of sales and real estate content there, which is also on my YouTube. You want to go ahead and drop your ads and...
Yeah.
And
My
of course,
at,
our YouTube podcast.
Yeah.
YouTube.
which you're probably watching this on, so just go ahead and hit that little subscribe button down there.
Yeah, just go ahead and hit that little subscribe button down there. Hit the like button and or dislike if you really feel that way. You know, we could talk about it.
Yeah.
But I mean, what's the risk in dislike? No, I'm just kidding. What's the risk in giving us a like? What's the risk? Yeah, share it with someone you guys think would really would love to hear it as well.
Yeah.
We'd
Also,
appreciate
like,
that.
leave a comment on what you thought about the episode, and basically like what Bailey said. Like, if there's anything
Let us
that
know
you
who
want,
dropped more bars today. All right, finish it out before this thing dies because this is too fire.
just go ahead and follow me on all of my platforms. My is at Lucas Wavy across all platforms. And my YouTube is at Lucas Fitzgerald, FITZGERALD. I'm gonna start posting a lot more lifestyle and business related content. And eventually I'm gonna start posting on TikTok. I just don't really know what kind of content I want to be posting up there, even though I know I should probably just be posting whatever. But